What's up, garden friends? Jeff here, Tropical Plant Party. How you doing? You good? I'm good. I hope you're good too. In yesterday's video, or my previous video, depending on when you're watching, I said today that I would be spraying because of the Fusarium scare, potential Fusarium scare, in one of my Oncidiums. This is the spray. It's the Clary's 3336. It's thiophenate methyl. Excellent systemic fungicide. Works great. But I'm not going to be using it today, and here's why. It is unexpectedly cold. It's like 52 degrees out, got down to 49 last night. And using a systemic anything is pretty much pointless on a tropical plant, especially an orchid when it's 50 degrees outside. It's supposed to warm back up into the 80s, upper 70s and low 80s tomorrow, so I'm not too worried about the orchids. Otherwise, I would actually start moving some of them, and particularly my my Grammatophyllum, which is just kind of peeking out back there, one of my Grammatophyllums. But yeah, when it's this cold, these plants, they aren't taking in nutrients, so there's no reason to spray, because even though this is a nutrient, it's systemic. It needs to be absorbed into the system, so it'll be more effective to give it a day and wait until it's warm. I need to use this anyways because I've been battling Phyllosticata for over a year now, and this is a crucial time of year for spraying. If you don't know what Phyllosticata is, I have a whole separate video about it. If I remember, I will link it down below in the description, or add one of those, fun pop-up annotation things for it. It's the black spot disease. It's a fungus that gets into your plant, lays dormant, and then it just ruptures out. The spores rupture out of the leaves, leaving black spots behind. So, you don't know you have it until it's already ruptured out to spread its spores and infect all your other plants. It's not typically deadly. It can get pretty bad. This Pachara up here had some spots. They're fairly old, but they're usually kind of raised diamond-shaped spots. Let me see if I can't find something in focus, or that I can focus on. Language is hard. Well, it looks like I've actually been treating these enough that I don't really have much left to show, which is great. But it's, you see black spots, raised black spots, kind of diamond-shaped. You can look it up, it's black spot disease on orchids or Phyllosticata. But anyways, that's the not so short of a long story why I'm spraying regardless, and this is effective for the Fusarium as well as the black spot. With Fusarium, it does seem to be a good idea to mix up what you're using because of potential resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and use this because I have to for the Phyllosticata, and then next month I'll go ahead and switch over to maybe something Amixal based or something else. So instead for today, now that I've already talked for 3 minutes, I thought maybe I'd walk around and just kind of look at the orchids, see what's in bloom and what's in spike. Let's go. Zygo's in bloom. A pretty nice bloom stalk going on here. It smells so good. That's no secret. We all know Zygos smell good, right? They smell great. And this little bloom stalk down here, actually someone threw a ball that landed back there on the spike and smashed it, and I didn't pick it back up because I was afraid if I touched it, it would break, so I just left it alone. Still managed to get a few blooms out of it, so it worked out okay. And a healthy zygo will bloom for you anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year, so that's alright. This does need to be repotted. If you watch my other videos, I've talked about how I'm kind of terrified to repot this. I don't know why. I've repotted zygos before and it was okay, but it's the YouTube thing. I watch other people talk about how they repot their zygos and then they die, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I can't repot my zygo either. It's going to die, even though that's never happened to me. I think that there's just some odd variables with these guys that really affect their growth that maybe we're not totally sure about just yet, because, people can take care of them in an identical manner. Flourishes for one person and not for another. That could actually have something to do with water quality too, perhaps. Very likely that's the case. Although, mine's just getting tap. I'm not doing anything special with it, and it has grown like crazy. So this was a much, much, much smaller plant about a year ago. And this is Vanda curifolia crossed with Vanda Arisonia Beauty. This is a Moats orchid I've had for a very long time, multiple years. And it is kicking like crazy. It came with that big one, but there's another one just below it. Have another keiki up here. And it's caking at the top, which I almost didn't notice, but if you look right there, there's a whole new growth coming out the top. Now, I don't know if that means that this being monopodial, if the growth on the main plant is going to stop with a keiki that high. I'm not sure. I don't think that's a problem, but we will see. But, oh, I hope that wasn't out of focus for very long. I'm so sorry. Yeah, lots of new little babies coming in, looking pretty cool. That's going to be neat. One thing I like with the Moats orchids is most of them are small, and you can end up having these like specimen-looking orchids, but they're not going to take up a ton of space. But I do have a few things I need to repot, particularly this it's my maxillaria, tennifolia. It's definitely outgrown its pot. It's time to move it into something a little bit bigger. I have it moved over here. I have it set in kind of a terrestrial manner because it's getting hit by my misters more often because it was a little bit dehydrated. These guys are much heavier feeders than I always like to give them credit for being, and then they get desiccated because I forget that they like to be watered a whole bunch. Not soaked, not drenched, but more of a frequency thing is what I've noticed. So that needs to be repotted. This definitely needs to be repotted. This Grammatophyllum, done blooming. It's got its seed pods on here. This needs to be repotted too. Like, very, very, very badly needs to be repotted. It's just started putting out this new growth here. Massive, huge, huge growth. Looks nice. But yeah, it's too cold to repot. That's also going to have to wait. Not too long though, within a few days. There's a teeny tiny itty bitty little one coming up in there, which is weird. That wasn't there before. It almost actually looks like a palm seedling, doesn't it? But I mean, the whole plant in general looks kind of like a palm seedling, just much, much, much larger. So I don't know if a palm seed fell down in there. I don't know why it would send up such a tiny little offshoot. That doesn't really make sense to me. That, you know, usually the offshoots like this is a new offshoot. See that? That's huge. That's its new offshoot. That tiny little thing, no. No, I don't know what that's all about. I'm going to go ahead and just lay it on its side, because I can tell it's just going to want to fall over, and I'd rather it just not go through that stress. That would be unnecessary. And then I still have all the phals here from the party. You know, these were purchased for the party a few weeks ago. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was Party Twig Part 4, or something like that, a few weeks ago. What's over here? No, you're not an epiphyllum. Epidendrum, radicans. Pretty and red. Nothing crazy there. You know, it's an epidendrum. They bloom like insanity. Alright, and here's another one that needs to be repotted. Badly. Very badly. Very much exploding out of the pot. Yeah. That's next on the chopping block. Chopping block? That's so aggressive. No, it just needs a new pot. Got my other cherry baby here, looking good for an outdoor growing season. It has grown a lot. Very big. Looking good. And then another one of my cherry babies down here with some spikes getting ready to open, and it's taking its sweet time, as cherry babies do. And look who just popped open. This is an Alicera Pacific Nova Hilo, which is pretty interesting because so is this one. Not that similar. You can see these flowers are much, much larger. This one went into bloom, went into spike and then bloomed very, very quickly, whereas this other one, I mean, it's been working on it for a very long time, but it's a nice looking, healthy bloom. Also, want to repot this one. They're in sphagnum. I don't like sphagnum for my orchids I have outside. We get too much rain, they get waterlogged. These squirrels, unpotted, more of my orchids, so get to repot those. Getting very annoyed with that, but hey, at least this time they didn't take the orchids, they just took the wood chips. And who are you attached to? What are they? Oh, Phalaenopsis spike. Another Sherry baby. Needs to be repotted. Ugh, these squirrels. Ow. Just hit my head on something. Never used to be a problem. There's a Cymbidium. Needs to be repotted because the squirrels dug it up. And I'm pretty sure this is the last one. This is Bellara Marfitch Howard's Dream with a spike. It just bloomed not too long ago, so I'm kind of pleased it's putting up another spike. Alright, so there's a quick update. Lots of things to repot, plenty of things to do, as always. But they are pleasant little things, which I'm fine with. I need to watch my 2 Grammatophyllums though, because it is kind of cool. I'm going to keep an eye on those. But otherwise, lots of flowers happening, and things are good. And I hope you are good too. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't. Comment down below. I like talking to y'all. I'm on Snapchat also. Trop Plant Party. One word. I try and upload multiple times a week. As always, hope everybody's doing well and keep on growing. Bye-bye.